They called her Madeline, but that wasn't her name. She carried a small transmitter hidden in a suitcase. Her signal traveled across Nazi-occupied Paris, whispering secrets to the British, until the Gestapo began to hunt her like a ghost. She was soft-spoken. She didn't believe in violence. And yet, she was one of the most wanted women in the Third Reich. This is not a story you find in textbooks. It's the story of a Muslim woman, a princess by birth, a poet by heart, and a spy by duty, who defied empires, crossed borders, and gave her life for a country that never truly knew her name. Her name was Noor Inayat Khan. And this is the story they tried to erase. Noor was born on January 1st, 1914, in Moscow, a city trembling on the edge of revolution. Her father, Hazrat Inayat Khan, was a renowned Indian Sufi master from a royal lineage that traced back to Tipu Sultan, the Lion of Mysore, the last Indian ruler to stand fiercely against British colonization. Her mother, Aurora Baker, was an American, a poet and dreamer who had left everything behind to follow the mystical path of Sufism. Noor was the product of two legacies: Eastern royalty and Western idealism. The family moved to London when Noor was a baby, then settled in Paris, where she grew up in a quiet, artistic atmosphere. Their home, called Fazel Manzel, overlooked the Seine. It was filled with music, prayer, and philosophy. Noor played the harp and piano, wrote children's stories, and dreamed of peace, not war. From an early age, she was drawn to truth and justice. But she was also incredibly shy, gentle, sensitive. No one, not even her siblings, could have imagined that this same girl would become a wireless operator behind enemy lines. In 1940, Hitler's forces invaded France. Noor, now 26, and her family fled to England, aboard one of the last ships out of Bordeaux. London was under attack. Her father had already passed away, and the world, her world, was unraveling. Noor, a committed pacifist due to her Sufi upbringing, made a radical decision. She would fight against fascism, not with weapons, but with information. She joined the Women's Auxiliary Air Force and trained as a wireless operator, one of the most dangerous roles in World War II. Operating a transmitter meant being a walking target. Operators rarely lasted more than 6 weeks before being caught by the Gestapo. But Noor was determined. Despite being Indian Muslim, a woman, everything the British military elite did not favor. She was recruited into Churchill's Special Operations Executive, a secret group of spies and saboteurs created to set Europe ablaze. She was given a codename Madeline. Her mission to parachute into Nazi-occupied France and serve as the sole wireless link between the resistance in Paris and London. In June 1943, Noor was dropped into France under the cover of night. The network she was supposed to join, Prosper, had already been compromised by the Gestapo. Within weeks, most of its members were arrested or killed. Her handlers in London begged her to return, but she refused. For 3 months, Noor operated completely alone, constantly on the move, evading capture, changing locations, codes, frequencies. She knew she was being. She saw her comrades disappear one by one, but she kept transmitting, alerting London of arrests, coordinating drops, and keeping the flickering light of the resistance alive. She was the last wireless operator in Paris, and the Nazis knew it. The Gestapo launched a citywide manhunt. Noor changed disguises, slept in abandoned attics, carried her radio, nearly 30 pounds, in a battered suitcase. She typed messages in Morse code with trembling fingers, while SS patrols prowled outside. Even as fear closed in, she never stopped. In those 3 months, she kept an entire network functioning alone. In October 1943, Noor was betrayed. A French woman, believed to be a jealous acquaintance, revealed her location to the Gestapo. They stormed the safe house and captured her after a struggle. Noor fought back, biting, kicking, and trying to escape through a window. It took 4 German agents to subdue her. Even then, they couldn't break her. Despite hours of interrogation, Noor refused to give any information. She lied about her identity, denied knowing codes, resisted every psychological tactic. She tried to escape twice and was punished severely. The Gestapo labeled her highly dangerous and sent her to Pforzheim prison in Germany. There, she was held in solitary confinement, hands and feet shackled, forbidden from speaking for 10 months. but they never broke her. She continued to resist in silence. Noor Inayat Khan spent nearly a year in Forzame prison under the harshest of conditions. She was shackled hand and foot, forbidden to speak, isolated in total solitude. But still, she never broke. She never gave up a name, never cracked under torture, never compromised the resistance. She remained, even in chains, a soldier of silence. Her captors came to fear her. They called her Die Gefährlichste Gefangene, the most dangerous prisoner, not because of what she did, but because of what she represented: defiance, resilience, and dignity. In September 1944, as Allied forces advanced through France, the Nazis made a final decision. Noor and 3 other SO agents, Yolanda Beekman, Madeleine de and Eliane Pluman, were transferred to Dachau concentration camp. They were never registered, never listed officially, because what happened next was meant to leave no trace. On the morning of September 13, 1944, Noor Inayat Khan was led into the execution yard at Dachau. She was only 30 years old. One of the camp guards later testified that she was beaten savagely before being shot in the back of the head. Her last word, according to that testimony, was liberty. No one claimed her body. There was no grave. Noor Inayat Khan vanished like a ghost. After the war, many of the men Noor had saved never knew her name. The British government, embarrassed by its own colonial hypocrisy, downplayed her story. She was of Indian origin, Muslim, and a woman, not the profile of a war hero they wanted to promote. Her own country, India, was still under British control and would not honor her memory. And so, for decades, Noor disappeared from the narrative. Her records were buried in archives. Her name wasn't mentioned in schools. Even her family, grieving in silence, saw history move on without her. It would take over 60 years for her name to begin In 2006, the British government declassified SO files. Among them was a small folder marked Ni Khan. Inside were transmission logs, mission orders, and her final words. That same year, historian Tribani Basu published Spy Princess, the first detailed biography of Noor's life. It exposed the deep injustice of her erasure and reignited global interest in her legacy. In 2012, a memorial bust was unveiled in London, the first in Britain to honor an Asian woman. France had already awarded her the Croix de Guerre. The UK posthumously granted her the George Cross, the highest civilian decoration for bravery. Her face now appears on murals, stamps, and children's books. But most importantly, her story is finally being told. Noor Inayat Khan was not just a spy. She was a writer, a poet, a princess, a resistor, a martyr, and for too long, a ghosting history. She could have stayed in England. She could have claimed exemption for her faith. She could have lived. But she chose to enter the fire, not as a warrior with weapons, but as a voice of resistance in the shadows. Her story is a reminder of how easily women can be forgotten by history, even when they die for it. It's a reminder that bravery doesn't always come with a gun. Sometimes it's the decision to send a signal, knowing they're listening for your voice. Noor Inayat Khan's signet was almost lost, but now it's reaching us, loud and clear. Her name was Noor. Her story was almost erased, but not anymore.